Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining this week's Tips and Tricks webinar. It's actually the first one of this year. We had some conflicts, and obviously with CPX and everything else going on, we thought you probably heard enough from us so far in January and February, but we will get this back on schedule and do it every other week from now on. Today's topic is how to discover and patch vulnerabilities with Harmony. Please use the Q&A chat in the Zoom session if you have any questions. We'll make sure we answer those during the webinar. Presenter today is a security architect from Maryland named Ronald Karras. Ronald, floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to this webinar, during which we'll talk about the endpoint security by means of vulnerability and patch management, which is considered to be very important, although we don't take care with it a lot during our day. So for the normal security operations, we take care of the policies, the rules, the antiviruses, all of these things, and anti-malware and all of the other components, but we don't take enough care of the vulnerabilities and the patches and the patch management, which is considered to be a very important part. So let's talk about this, and let's go and see what do we have with Checkpoint to manage this automatically. This picture, actually, I like it because it happened during a soccer game in Paris a few years ago. That was a game between Germany and France, and it was in Stade de France, and it is one of the biggest in Europe. And it was a normal day, it was a normal game, but all of a sudden, only one entered the field, and followed by tens, hundreds, and thousands, as you can see. So always remember that the attacker, out of the hundreds and thousands of trials he is doing, he wants only one to succeed. Only one is more than enough for him. And this will be followed by the domino effect, or what we call domino effect. One problem will lead to another. The administrators will go inside one of the problems, trying to run after this attacker, and at the same time, a lot of other attacks and a lot of other problems happen. So we don't want this to happen in our networks. We want to be always ready. We want to be 100% secure. I know that there is nothing 100%, but at least for what we know or what we have, we are 100%. Always remember that a lot of attacks and a lot of problems and a lot of vulnerabilities and a lot of weak points we don't know about in our networks. And this is the main problem, okay? What is a vulnerability? Simply, a vulnerability is a weak point in a system. Either this system is an operating system or management system, or it's a software, or it's an application, or it's a game, or whatever, or a browser, anything that is weak, that can be used by an exploit, which is a software or a tool or a hacker capability that can get use of this vulnerability. So the vulnerability is the weak point. To get use of this weak point, this is what we call an exploit. How to secure this, how to solve this problem, we need to solve the security issues. We need to solve the security holes, which is called a patch. This patch is very important, but with the patch, so someone will tell me, okay, with the patches, we have no problem. The patch will solve the security issue. Let's go and see more numbers. Can you look at these numbers? If you go back, please scan this barcode and go to the CVE details webpage, okay? And you will discover that 20 years ago, the total number of vulnerabilities discovered in 1999, I think, the total number was 800 something. Can you imagine 2022 numbers? We are almost 25,000. I know that this is for all of the operating systems, all of the applications, everything that we have in our network. But still, today we have a lot of operating systems. We have a combination of softwares, applications, management systems, a lot of things. So I believe that you have at least 10% of all of the affected softwares and operating systems in your network. So this sudden increase is because of the remote workforce, because of the increase of the attack surface, because of the multiple systems that we have, and because attackers are investing in themselves at the same time. So they enhance their capabilities and they enhance their tools and they enhance their mechanisms to attack the weak points in our systems. That's why being ready all the time is very important. This is one of the examples just to show you that you are not too far from the attackers. Either you are a very strong place with a lot of security, you have something that has a value, so they will target you, same as what we have here. This is the Belgian police. Or maybe you are a regular company, you are not something superstar in the market. Maybe you are doing services on the side and you are not a target for the big attackers, but at least we have script kidders trying to attack anything, anywhere. So you are not too far from the attacks. Maybe you have very strong security, you can be targeted. Maybe you have low security and low important information, but still you are a target. So you are not too far. Don't tell me that, oh, who will look at our data? A lot. You don't know all of the attackers all over the world and their goals. So always be ready. These are some extra scary numbers. 86% of reported vulnerabilities come from third-party applications. And how many third-party applications in your network, in your company? A lot. 50% of vulnerabilities exploited after 2 to 4 weeks of releasing a patch. So there was a vulnerability, there was a patch released, and after releasing the patch with 4 weeks, still some customers are getting attacks. Can you imagine? So what is the problem here? The problem is in managing and prioritizing the patches and applying them correctly. Sometimes we get a lot of problems and we don't know from where to start. How to solve all of these problems at the same time. I need someone to help me, or at least a system to help me. So here the problem was a bad problem for me because there is a vulnerability, there is a patch, but nobody applied the patch to solve this vulnerability or to solve this security issue. Average time for an enterprise to respond to a vulnerability is 4 months. Oh, really? 4 months, I have a weak point and I didn't secure it? This is a disaster. It's not a problem, it is a disaster. So these are our problems today. We are human beings at the end of the day. We have the same 8 hours every day, same as 20 years ago. But today we have multiple versions, multiple applications, not enough visibility, although we have a lot of visibility softwares and management tools, but not enough visibility into the attacks and the vulnerabilities. Time consuming. We need, when I calculated out of the 25,000 vulnerabilities and discovered last year, if I have only 10% to 2,500, and in average, I will take 10 minutes to analyze and patch and manage and do all of these things. So we need an employee dedicated to do this all the time for the whole year. So this is very time consuming. And with the multiple operating systems, applications, softwares, everything, the problem is so big. That's why 53% of our professionals spend most of their time organizing and prioritizing. So 53% spend most of their time. When I say most, it means that it is more than 50%, right? So before applying the patches, they were just organizing and prioritizing the vulnerabilities. So this took them the longer part of their time, more than patching the system itself. So this is the main problem. how to prioritize, how to discover, how to read, how to get enough information, how to a lot of things. How to solve this problem? If I can find an automated system that can do this and manage this automatically for my network, this would be the best thing that I can do. If there is a system that can look for vulnerabilities from trusted locations, look for the patch, for the right patch, order them based on the priority, and then start patching automatically, this is the best thing that I can do. So I need a system that works in the background automatically, that can scan my systems, find the weak points, prioritize them, and start patching the most important or the most critical, then the high, then the medium, then the low, improve my system security or my overall security, then scan again, prioritize, patch, improve, and keep on going inside this cycle. So this is the best that you can do, especially if this system can provide me with accurate and correct information. So here, under the vulnerability management, you will see the critical followed by the high, medium, and low. So of course, we will go with the critical and start solving this problem or these problems. Also, you can see the top 5 risky applications, top 5 vulnerable operating systems or machines, I mean. So the visibility here is very high. So you can override this system by applying something before something or by changing the order, whatever you want to do. It will give you detailed information. The update available 18, in progress currently 20, reboot required for 15, and updated already 5. Also, it will show you the failed patches, so you can reapply them either one more time through the system or manually, whatever. And you can configure the check schedule in the way you want. Check every 24 hours, every week, every month, depending on the nature of these computers. Are they mobile computers? They go outside, then come back and moving all the time, or these are desktops, or these are servers, depends. The good thing is the visibility is very good here, very high visibility. So from the posture management page, as I told you, you can see the vulnerabilities by severity, top risky apps, top vulnerable machines, and here you can see the vulnerabilities. So you can sort them by CVSS score. Of course, you know that 10 is the highest, so we will go with the 10 and then start looking at the 9 or 9.5, 9, 8, and so on. So here it gives you detailed information. You can enforce scanning now, look at CVE details to see the affected operating systems, the affected version, the effect of this vulnerability, and so on. And look at the patch details. If you want to check these patches before applying them, you can do this. As I told you, you can sort by severity, view by vulnerability, or by machine. So you can change this view to show by machine. So it will show you the vulnerable machines. And when you click on the machine, it will show you how many vulnerabilities found for this specific machine. As I mentioned, sometimes when we solve this or some of the critical vulnerabilities, this solves something like 50 or 60% of the total problems found in this network. So acting very fast on the critical is very important. When you go inside the patch details, it will show you the patch and which CVE is being solved by this patch, the application affected, application version, some other information, and you can select update now or select an update time. If it requires a reboot now or restart the computer later. Here it is showing all of the affected machines affected by this vulnerability, and they need this patch. So you can select whatever you want and patch now. Okay. So you are in full control. When you go with a CVE, it will show you that this CVE has an update available, how many in progress, how many require reboot, and how many updated already. So here it is showing you that 58 are affected already, and this is the total of the 58 affected machines, okay? From the actions, when you go or when you switch the view to machines, here you will see a machine and you can select an action, get the machine details, patch details, isolate the machine if it's making you a big problem in the network, restart the machine, or kill the application that is making the problem or that is not patched, okay? So you are in full control. How to configure? I prefer to do this part from the live interface from the Infinity portal. So I will skip this for now. I will show you how to configure in just a few minutes. And the most important thing is improve security. I know that a lot of people will look at the numbers and the reduced TCO and what is the impact on our money, but for me, I look at the security first. So like this, I have an improved security. I'm securing my network with my policies, with my firewalls, with my everything antivirus, anti-malware, anti-everything, anti-X, I call it anti-X. And at the same time, I'm secured from what may come through a vulnerability that is newly discovered in one of the applications or one of the operating systems. Benefits, fully automated. You don't have to touch anything, just configure and let it go. Smart prioritization based on severity, applications, machines, identity, risk, everything. Consolidate solution, endpoint security, plus posture management in the same tool. Real-time patching for Microsoft operating system and applications, and third-party as well. Improved endpoint compliance and application control. So this automation will help you a lot. Reduce the time spent to look for patches, look for vulnerabilities, analyzing, trying to understand, then apply the patch. We spent most of our time analyzing before applying. So if you need more help with this, you can contact any of our experts to get some help. Also, you can go to our webpage that has more information about the vulnerability management and patch management, and you can get more details and more information like this. Before we go to the technical part or how to configure, just ask yourself these questions. If you have any of these questions without a clear answer, you need something. You need to add something to your network. You need to add something to your security system. So what are you currently using? Are you currently using today for posture management? Do you have system in place or not? What is your posture management strategy? Do you have something to say that this is my posture policy? If the machine is missing an update or missing an antivirus or missing an anti-malware, keep it outside the network. Do you have something like this, including the patch management? If it is missing a patch or a service pack or something like that, if it is missing, stay outside. Do you have something like this or not? What pains are you experiencing? Do you have problems scanning the network for vulnerabilities? Patch your weak points, generating a report, detailed report, I mean. How are you managing third-party patches? I know that most of you may be using WSUS or any other updating softwares or applications, but will this update everything or just a specific category or a specific vendor and its applications? So this is another important question. And is patch included in your regulatory compliance or not? Do you have to enforce HIPAA or PCI DSS or any of these standards or not? And does this standard require vulnerability management and patch management or not? So if you don't have a clear answer for any of these questions, you need to add something to your network. which is, of course, patch and vulnerability management. Our patch and vulnerability management is powered by Ivanti, which is a leader in patch management in the market. We don't get the updates direct from them. You get the updates from our servers, and I will show you now how to do this in the configurations. So when you go under your Infinity portal, under Harmony endpoint, and select the policy, under access and compliance, when you click on compliance here, go down, this is the new part that we added. Compliance is there from before, but not for patches and not for vulnerabilities. So this is what we call risk assessment. This is the newly added part. Here you can enable risk assessment, select the scan interval, daily, weekly, monthly. You can select scan interval and make it every specific number of hours, every specific number of days. Then select from where to get the updates, either from Ivanti through, either from Ivanti through Checkpoint. So you will get this information from Checkpoint signature server, or you can select any other server. So if you have something that you want to get direct from the vendor server, you can select other sources and go here and specify the URL or the domain name or the IP address from where the system can get the updates. Once you finish your configurations here, and once you apply this on the computers, by the way, you need endpoint security software version 87.10 and above. Okay, actually 87.20 also is out there. So you need one of the latest versions. When you go under asset management, under posture management here, I'm sorry, I'm very poor. My lab has only 3 vulnerabilities, so I don't have a lot to show you. But when you go here, you will see the vulnerability by severity, the top 5 risky applications, top 5 vulnerable machines, and here you can see the vulnerabilities or the machines. So here you can see the machines. If you click on this machine, it will show you the vulnerabilities found for this machine, and you can order them by CVSS score. So you can go with the top priority first, then go with the lower severity after that. So this is the way we configure under policy, go to compliance and enforce risk assessment. And under asset management here, you will see posture management, and you will see everything related to the vulnerability and patch management. This tenant is or doesn't have the final version of the patch management. That's why I don't have the action button here, and I don't have the full version that you will see when it becomes available after that. So this is how to configure and how to monitor your systems patches and vulnerability. So like this, we are done with this very quick demo about vulnerability and patch management. And Rob, what do we have next?
Yeah, we have some good questions for you. And I know, just so everybody knows, Ronald has a hard stop at 9:30, so I'm going to try and run through a few of these real quick. Is all the information collected by the endpoint agent? And is there any third-party integrations with other sources?
No, we get this information from the agent, and we check this, or we get information about vulnerabilities from Ivanti. So we have Ivanti and our endpoint agent. Okay.
Okay. Does this work for Apple and Linux devices as well?
Apple, yes. Linux, I'm not 100% sure. But I saw Apple in action, but not Linux. But so I'm not sure, but I can write this and check this for you.
Yep, we can, let's see. Is the reboot configurable in a way to allow the person currently logged into the computer to snooze the reboot for later, reboot in an hour or 2 hours?
No, the control is from your side as an admin. Once you select to reboot now, it will reboot now. The user doesn't have control over it.
Okay.
It's not like the updates coming direct to the computer from the vendor, like Microsoft or whatever.
Yeah, and if you want to expand on that, who asked, just throw it in the Q&A. I think you answered this, but just to be clear, is this currently available to Harmony endpoint customers? I don't see it in my portal.
Yes, it will be available within few weeks, very few weeks.
Few weeks, okay. Let's see. Will there be an announcement or just pop up on the current customers? Right, this is not an add-on. It's just it'll show up in their portal.
For the last question, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, you can stop patching any system with any patch that you don't want. So yes, if you know that something will affect your system in a bad way, or you don't need a specific update, yes, you can exclude this.
Yeah, just to make sure, I didn't read that one correctly. Is there a way to exclude CVEs based on the system? That's what he was answering. Yeah. So yes. Let's see, was there anything else? Give everybody a second here. I know we're right about on time here. You mentioned isolating a machine. How does that work? Do we integrate with the NIC or do we talk to the switch? How does that work?
No, it is local from the endpoint software. The
Okay.
endpoint will isolate this machine from the network. It is not by assigning it a different VLAN. It is not integrated with the network in any way.
Okay.
So it is not like the network isolation or VLAN isolation or anything like this.
Got it. Okay, I think that covers the questions. I think we're going to be right on time here. So perfect, Ronald. Thank you for that information. We will send a follow-up email with any reference content and the recording link of this session. Like I said, we are back on schedule here. So our next webinar will be in 2 weeks, and that one will be on utilizing pro reports. So you'll see an invitation for that soon. So please register and join us again. With that, we will let you go. Ronald, thank you again for all the information, and everyone else, enjoy your day.
Thank you
you
so much, bro. Thank you. Bye.
Bye all.